All right, everybody, welcome to another video from me, Kai, with the Path of Life. Today we are going to be doing a comparison video between 3 different magazine extensions designed for the Canik TP9 series. So before we get too into this video, I want to shout out one of this channel's sponsors, and that is LimaCharlieUSA.com. They are the manufacturers of this sweet shirt, Merca. They are a clothing and apparel company that makes all of the official Canik Fanatic forum stuff. I have been wearing a lot of Canik Fanatic shirts and other gun-related shirts in a lot of the previous videos. They manufacture all those, and they're the official clothing designer for the Canik Fanatic forum. So this hat that I'm wearing, this Merca shirt, they also do a lot of clothing designed for veterans and military and branches of the military. It's a really cool thing, so check them out. LimaCharlie. Here, you know what? So it is LimaCharlieUSA.com, and here on this channel we have a super sick awesome promotion code that is POL10 for the Path of Life, and that gets you 10% off of your entire order, no matter how big, how small. So go pay them a visit. Awesome company, small business that supports veterans, military, Second Amendment, and all things fantastic in this world. Okay, back to this video. We are doing a comparison of 140mm compliant magazine extensions for the Canik TP9 series. You all know I shoot the Canik TP9 SFX in competitions. Haven't shot for the last little while, but as you can see, my cast says I shoot better one-handed. If only it was true. But anyway, here we go. Magazine extensions. So this is the regular magazine for the Canik TP9 SFX. It has a +2 base plate that comes from the factory, making this 18-round magazine a 20-round magazine. So it's a little bit of an extension that comes from Metgar with these magazines. We are not going to be talking about this magazine extension today and focusing on that. Instead, we are going to be focusing on these 3 right here. So we have the Taran Tactical +4. Now this magazine extension is created for the CZ75, so it's not made for the Canik TP9 series pistol, but it fits sort of the Canik magazines. So we're going to talk about that and what that looks like. Next we have the Taylor Freelance +4 140mm compliant base pad that is designed for the Canik TP9 series of pistol. And last we have the Kane Arms 3D printed polymer +4 base extension, also 140mm compliant, USPSA compliant. So I wanted to make this as simple as possible, and so we are going to break this down into 5 points, okay? And that is build quality, fitment, which includes fitment to the magazine as well as to the USPSA magazine gauge, which is what your magazines must fit into in order to be compliant with the 140mm rule. Ease of use, which includes being able to remove the base plate for cleaning, putting the base plate back on, all of that type of stuff. So that's the 3rd one. Confidence inspired. So how does it overall make me feel? The overall feeling of confidence that I get from this magazine. Need I depend on it in competition, self-defense, any of those types of roles? Okay, so that's the 4th one. And then the 5th is the cost. Obviously, there is a pretty wide range of cost dependent on materials and the company that's making them. So getting right into it, I am going to start off with the Kane Arms +4 mag extension. So starting off with the build quality, it is 3D printed polymer. Which it feels okay, but there definitely could be some finishing work done on these, I feel. Some of the edges are kind of sharp and protruding, especially on the logos here. There's little just edges that catch and stuff like that. So obviously with 3D printing, it's just layered on top of each other, one on top of the other on top of the other. And there are some areas, like this area right here, where it seems that there was a uneven amount of material getting ejected onto this magazine base plate. And that worries me about splitting, about this whole thing just shearing off because of the pressures with putting 22 rounds in these magazines. I have some concerns with some of these things here. You know, it being polymer and being dropped, especially in competitions where you may be dropping a magazine that's still half full when transitioning from one position in the stage to another, so that you can go into that next position with a fully loaded magazine. And I just wonder how all of that weight hitting against this multiple times is going to keep up over time. So all in all, build quality, I score this magazine extension at a 5. Next, fitment. Now, fitment between this base plate and the magazine, it's pretty good. There's a lot of material that has to go above the little flanges here on the magazine, and that's partially due to the fact that it's polymer and 3D printed, so they need enough excess material above those flanges so that it can hang on and make sure that it's not going to break. Fitment with the magazine gauge, it does fit the magazine gauge, and so overall pretty good, and I'll score it a 7 on the fitment. Now, ease of use involves being able to take down and reassemble this magazine pretty easily. Now, the position of this screw here, all in all, like it's good, and it's nice that it's at an angle here. You can see that that Allen key is angled out away from the magazine body. It's still a little bit awkward to get this screw out, and I have a hard time with the fact that this screw needs to come all the way out in order for the base plate to slide off. So it would be a big concern to like lose this screw and have that be an issue while you're in the middle of a competition and you're cleaning out your magazines in between stages. As far as everything else, it's very similar to the others. It comes apart pretty easily after you get rid of this screw. So all in all, on ease of use, I give this magazine extension a 7. This magazine base plate, when I first pulled it out and I was feeling it, it doesn't really have that that kind of texture that it just feels sturdy in your hand. It doesn't really have that. It feels a little chintzy, feels like it might have an issue breaking when dropping it in competition stages. So if it was just at the range, plinking around, and you just wanted an extra couple of rounds, then awesome. It would work great. But if you are needing to depend on this for competition or in a defensive situation, doesn't really inspire a ton of confidence. All in all, score on confidence level would be a 4. Now, last but not least, probably the Kane Arms magazine extension's biggest strength, which is cost. The Kane Arms +4 magazine extension base plate is only $18 presently. And every now and again there's some discounts that go around, but right now $18 for the Kane Arms +4 extension base plate. And that is the price shipped. So on that front, it scores high. I'm going to give it a 10, which brings the total score for this Kane Arms magazine extension base plate to a 33. All right, next moving on to the extended base plate from Taylor Freelance. Starting off with the build quality, it just right out of the box feels fantastic. All of the edges are nicely rounded and beveled. You know, real attention to detail on the Taylor Freelance base plate. The TF carved into the bottom, really smooth, made out of aluminum, and you know, just feels really good in the hand. The colors are great. These come right now in a like brushed stainless red or black. But you can, as far as I understand, you can custom the colors of these. It just adds some time to your production or whatever. Quality wise, scoring it a 9. I really think that Taylor Freelance did a great job with paying attention to the details and the aesthetics and keeping it really nice and fresh looking. Second is fitment to the magazine. It has a really tight fit. The channel that the flanges from the magazine go into on either side have pretty low tolerances, so it doesn't wiggle or move around very much at all. So fitment to the magazine is really good. There's a decent amount of material that surrounds this flange, so I feel like it's sturdy, but there's not too much to where it gets kind of bulky and annoying. It's nice and slimmed down. Ultimately fits the magazine really well. Also fits the magazine gauge for USPSA and 3-gun perfectly. So as far as fitment goes, I'm scoring Taylor Freelance a 10 out of 10. It just fits great, both the magazine and the gauge. So that brings us to the third spot of ease of use. Now, at first I had a little bit of trouble finding the right Allen key for the set screw here, but then I found a 7/64 Allen key that works perfectly. I wish that all of these companies would just send you the Allen keys that are required for the base plates, but I understand that sometimes people order, you know, 4 or 5 of these things, and then they'd have 4 or 5 Allen keys. But maybe a suggestion to all of these companies would be to have the option to buy the Allen keys, or at least list the Allen key sizes on the websites, because that information is not anywhere to be found. But once I found that Allen key, it fits really well, really easy to remove, and that set screw works really well, and I love that it's positioned from the bottom so the set screw doesn't get in the way on the back side running into the magazine body. And when you pull this out, you just have to get it pulled out enough to remove the magazine base plate so your screw can stay in the base plate, so you don't have to worry about losing your screw. So that solves the issue from the other magazine. So on ease of use, I am going to score the Taylor Freelance +4 base plate a 9 out of 10. From the second that I took this thing out of the box and mounted it to the magazine, it has functioned flawlessly, has had 0 issues. I know that the build quality is very good and the aluminum is strong, so I don't have to worry about this breaking down over time. I know that it'll fit the mag gauge, so I don't have to worry about that getting called into question. All in all, I think the confidence that this inspires is really high. I don't think that there'd be very much chance of a catastrophic failure of this magazine base plate. Confidence inspired, a 10 for the Taylor Freelance. The cost. This scored pretty high on everything else, a 38 out of 40 so far. So that must mean that the cost is just outrageous, right? Not necessarily. The cost right now for the Taylor Freelance +4 base plate here is $29.95 or something like that, 30 bucks. Not too bad. They also have a flat rate $7.50 per shipment per order. So basically you order 2 of these base plates and you get them for $33.75 shipped to your door. Not too shabby. And the more that you get, the lower that cost gets, because the shipping is spread between more items. So for cost, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Not too bad. So total 45 out of 50 for the Taylor Freelance +4 base plate. Last but not least, the Taran Tactical CZ75 +4 base plate. Now, one thing that you'll notice right off the bat is that the angle is just a little bit off on this guy here. If I set this down, you can see that it kind of just kinks off to the side. Let's compare that with the Taylor Freelance plate. So the Taylor Freelance, you can tell, is standing straight up, and the Taran Tactical is off to the side a little bit. Let's try and put them one in front of the other. Let's see how that kind of peeks out there. So it's just a little bit off on the angle, which is mostly just because this is designed for a CZ75 magazine and not a Canik magazine. Now, build quality on the Taran Tactical is very good, very high, along with the Taylor Freelance made out of aluminum. It's got a little bit less beveling on the edges, and there's a little bit of a sharpness. Also, there is a pretty small amount of material above the flange on the magazine. And so the concern there would be, is there enough material there that when these magazines hit the ground repeatedly that it'll hold up? I don't know. But it just doesn't quite feel as sturdy or as strong as the Taylor Freelance base plate. So for those reasons, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 on build quality. So fitment to the magazine, obviously there's that little bit of a gangsta lean that this thing has going on. Also, this base plate, although it looks very similar in size to the Taylor Freelance base plate, it is slightly too long for the magazine gauge for USPSA, which requires you to have to take a file and take off a pretty substantial amount of material off of the backside of this magazine. So that, you know, all in all, weakens up the magazine base plate and poses a concern for those who need to use this in competition. Will the fitment be brought into question from the officials at the range when you're out there competing? So all in all, on fitment, I give this a 4 out of 10. Next, with ease of use, this magazine extension has a little pin that acts like a plunger almost. You push it from the top and it kind of protrudes out there on the bottom of it, and you just push it back and it locks it in place. It's pretty easy to move. There's a little Allen key off to the side, but again, I have no idea what size that Allen key is supposed to be, and I don't have one that's small enough to fit it, so I'd have to go out to the store, find the right one. But it feels pretty tight. The pin feels pretty tight. Doesn't quite make contact with the back of the magazine, but I like the system of having this little plunge pin, you know, push in and out to hold it on there. It's pretty quick for competitions. You just push that out, slap the thing off, clean everything out, push it back in, push it back down, it's on. So really good there with ease of use. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 on ease of use. So that brings us to number 4, confidence inspired. So there's two main things that get brought into question for me that may make my confidence in this product dip for the use with the Canik TP9 series pistol. One is the amount of material that is on top of the little flanges here on the magazine. It just doesn't feel like it's as sturdy as the Taylor Freelance magazine extension. And the second is that this magazine with this extension on it would definitely draw some attention from some officials at the range at your competitions, and it does not fit the magazine gauge. And even after you file it off the back side here, will the officials allow you to compete with this without jumping into the open division? So confidence inspired, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And last but not least, the cost. This magazine extension base plate from Taran Tactical presently goes for $36. And for me, Taran Tactical's shipping is about $9. And I'm in Utah, they're based in California. So depending on where you are, the shipping costs might be more than that. So even if you bought 2 of these, with shipping to your door, they're $40 a piece. So on cost, I give it a 5 out of 10. All in all, that brings the grand total for the Taran Tactical base plate up to a score of 32 out of 50. So to recap, on these +4 base plates, we have the Kane Arms, which comes in at $18 shipped with a score of 33 out of 50. Then comes the Taylor Freelance, which comes shipped at $33.75 with a score of 45 out of 50. Then the Taran Tactical, which comes in at $40.50 to ship it with a score of 32 out of 50. So that's where the chips lie after our little conversation here today. I know where I'm going to place my confidence and the product that I would choose to use on a day-to-day basis. But I'd like to hear from you. Which one of these do you prefer, or would you choose to get after hearing this review? Y'all, I really appreciate you watching. And if you haven't already, then hit that subscribe link that's right up above me. You're going to want to stay tuned. We have an awesome New Year's video coming out next week. And at 500 subscribers, we have a giveaway. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, everybody, and make it a great day. Peace out.